Most men have felt this moment before. You're sitting across from her, the conversation's going fine, but there's a wall, invisible, yet heavy. You can feel it. You're wondering, how do I make her feel safe enough to open up? How do I get past that wall so she trusts me with what's really inside? In this video, I'm going to give you a clear roadmap, how to build trust, create emotional safety, ask the right questions, and listen in a way that makes her feel truly heard. We'll also go deeper into two powerful keys most people never talk about: how to read her body language and how to share just enough of yourself to create mutual trust, the kind that makes both hearts relax. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to help her open up, not because she feels pressured, but because she feels safe with you. You don't need to read minds. You don't need perfect words. You just need to create the right environment, the right rhythm, and ask the right questions. Let's begin.
You know, one of the biggest mistakes men make when they want someone to open up is thinking it's about asking the right question, when in truth, it's about creating the right space. Think about it. Would you ever share something personal if you felt judged, rushed, or misunderstood? Of course not. We all need a place where we can let our guard down, where we can breathe and know we won't be attacked for being human. That's exactly what a woman needs from you. Not a man who fixes everything, not a man who interrupts every 5 seconds with advice, but a man who makes her feel safe just by being there. And here's the secret most people miss. Safety isn't built with words, it's built with energy. It's in your tone, your body language, and the way you hold silence. So when she starts sharing something personal, don't flinch, don't widen your eyes, don't act surprised. You might not realize it, but that tiny reaction, that quick, "Whoa, really?" can shut her down in an instant. Instead, take a slow breath. Keep your face soft. Let your voice stay calm and low. Show her through your presence that nothing she says will scare you away. Because when you stay steady, she feels safe to be unsteady. And that's when honesty begins. Now, let's talk about your body language. Because whether you know it or not, it speaks louder than your mouth ever could. If you're sitting stiff, arms crossed, eyes darting around, you're sending the message, "I'm uncomfortable." But if you lean in slightly, relax your shoulders, and keep a soft focus on her eyes, not staring, just present, you're saying, "I'm here, you're safe." Little things matter. Even the way you nod, even the pause before you answer. These are signals that tell her she's being heard, not judged. And when she does open up, don't rush to fill the silence. Let her words sit between you for a moment. Sometimes that quiet space is the most healing thing you can give her. When you finally respond, do it gently. Don't try to fix, don't try to analyze. Just acknowledge. You can say something like, "That sounds really tough." Or, "I can see why that would make you feel that way." It might seem small, but those words tell her, "I understand. I'm not dismissing your pain." And you'd be amazed how much trust that builds. See, what women fear most isn't that you'll disagree with them. It's that you'll invalidate them, that you'll tell them they're too emotional or that it's not a big deal. But the truth is, for her, it is a big deal. And if you can make her feel safe expressing it, you become someone rare in her world, someone she can finally exhale around. So here's a small practice I want you to try next time you talk to her. When she starts sharing, don't think about your next sentence. Don't prepare a solution. Just listen with your full attention. Notice the tone of her voice. Notice the emotion behind her words. And when she finishes, lower your voice slightly. Slow your pace and say something that shows understanding, not control. Something like, "I get that. That must have felt overwhelming." And then just pause. Let the silence do its work. That moment, that calm after your words, is when she feels the weight lift off her shoulders. Over time, this becomes your natural way of being. You don't have to force it. You don't have to memorize lines or techniques. It's just about embodying steadiness. The kind that says, "I'm not here to judge you, I'm here to understand you." See, a woman doesn't fall in love with perfection. She falls in love with presence, with the man who can sit in the middle of her storm and still be the calm. And that calm begins with something simple: how you look at her, how you breathe when she speaks, and how you let her finish without cutting her off. That's the space she's been craving. Not a spotlight, not a lecture, just a quiet room in your energy where she can finally take off her armor. So the next time you're sitting across from her, remember this: you don't need the perfect words. You just need to be safe enough for her truth to land. Speak less, listen more. And when you do speak, let it come from understanding, not ego. Because when a woman feels safe, she doesn't just talk, she opens her soul. And that's when real connection begins.
You know, one of the simplest ways to deepen a conversation is also one of the most overlooked: the kind of questions you ask. Most people don't realize how often they kill connection without even meaning to. They ask, "Did you have a good day?" She says, "Yeah, it was fine." And that's it. Conversation over. It's not because she doesn't want to talk, it's because your question didn't open a door, it closed it. That's why I always say, if you want someone to open up, stop asking yes or no questions. Start asking questions that invite a story. Think of it like this: a closed question is like a wall. Are you okay? Did you eat? Was work stressful? Short, simple, polite, but it ends the flow. An open question, on the other hand, is like a window. It lets air in. It gives her room to breathe, to reflect, to wander a little. Instead of asking, "Did you have a good day?" try, "What was the best part of your day?" It's gentle, it's warm, and it lets her decide how deep she wants to go. See, open-ended questions start with words like what, how, or tell me about. They show curiosity, not interrogation. They say, "I want to know you," not "I need information." So instead of asking, "Are you stressed?" try, "What's been weighing on your mind lately?" Instead of, "Did that upset you?" try, "How did that make you feel when it happened?" You see the difference? One sounds like you're checking a box. The other sounds like you actually care. Now, here's something powerful. When you ask a question that begins with what or how, you give her permission to explore her own thoughts. She might even discover something about herself while she's talking to you. That's the beauty of real connection. You're not just listening to her story, you're helping her understand her own emotions more clearly. Let's go deeper. When she does start sharing, resist the urge to jump in too quickly. Just listen, stay quiet for a moment, and then ask a follow-up question. That's where the magic happens. Say she tells you about something that frustrated her at work. Don't rush to fix it or say, "Yeah, my boss does that too." Instead, gently ask, "What was the hardest part of that for you?" Or, "How did you handle it in the moment?" You're not digging for gossip, you're showing that you care about her experience, not just the details. And that's what makes people feel seen. Another simple example:
If she mentions she's been thinking a lot lately, you might say, "What's been on your mind?" Or, "What have you been reflecting on lately?" It's such a small shift, but it changes everything. Because suddenly, you're not having small talk, you're having real talk. And when you do that consistently, she begins to associate you with peace, not pressure, with understanding, not judgment. That's how emotional intimacy is born, not through grand gestures, but through everyday moments of presence. Now, I know some men worry, what if I ask and she doesn't answer much? That's okay. It takes time. You're not trying to pull words out of her. You're planting seeds of safety. The first few times, she might just give short answers, but she's watching. She's noticing how you respond. If she sees that you stay patient, calm, and genuinely interested, she'll open up more next time. Because now she knows, when she talks, you listen. Here's a small trick that helps. When she shares, let your curiosity lead. Not fake curiosity, but genuine wonder. If she mentions a book she's been reading, ask, "What drew you to that book?" If she talks about someone she admires, ask, "What about that person inspires you?" If she recalls a challenge, ask, "What did you learn about yourself from that experience?" You're not interviewing her. You're inviting her world to unfold in front of you. That's what open-ended questions do. They open hearts, not files. And remember, it's not just what you ask, but how you ask it. Your tone matters more than your words. Ask slowly, gently, with a voice that says you can take your time. Because an open question asked with a rushed tone still feels closed. So take a breath, relax your shoulders, let your voice drop a little lower. Then say, "Tell me more about that." It's such a simple phrase, but it tells her, "I'm here and I'm listening." That's how trust grows, one calm, thoughtful question at a time. So next time you're talking with her, remember this rule. Ask less to get more. Don't chase answers, invite stories. Don't collect facts, create connection. Because when you learn to ask questions that open her mind, you also open her heart. And that's where real intimacy begins.
Let me tell you something that might sound simple, but it's one of the rarest things in the world today: being truly listened to. You see, most people don't really listen. They wait for their turn to speak. They nod, but their eyes are somewhere else. They hear words, but they don't feel the emotions behind them. And the truth is, you can feel it when someone's not really there with you. Their body is present, but their attention is miles away. That's why learning how to listen actively isn't just a communication skill, it's an act of love. When you listen deeply to someone, you're saying, your words matter, your feelings matter, you matter. So when she talks, put the phone down, close the laptop, turn off the background noise, look her in the eyes. Not in a staring contest kind of way, but with soft focus, genuine presence. Match her pace. If she's quiet and emotional, soften your tone. If she's anxious, slow things down by slowing yourself down first. Because listening isn't about your ears, it's about your energy. It's about showing her that for this moment, nothing else in the world is more important than what she's saying. Now here's something powerful that changes everything. Reflecting back. After she speaks, don't just say, "I understand." Show her that you actually heard her. You might say, "It sounds like you've been carrying a lot at work lately, right?" Or, "It seems like that really frustrated you." That one simple sentence tells her,
He's not just listening to the words, he's feeling what I feel. And that's where connection happens, because in that moment, she no longer feels alone in what she's carrying. See, the reason this works isn't psychological trickery. It's emotional safety. When someone feels seen and mirrored, their nervous system relaxes, the walls come down, and the real, honest version of them steps forward. But there's one trap many men fall into, especially those who care deeply: the instinct to fix everything. She tells you about a problem, and you immediately go into problem-solving mode. You want to help. You want to offer a solution. But what she needs first is understanding. When someone opens up, they don't necessarily want advice. They want a witness. Someone to say, "I see you. I hear you." That comes before any solution. Because if you rush to fix it, you're unintentionally sending a message: "Your feelings make me uncomfortable, so I need to fix them." Instead of, "Your feelings are safe here." So next time she shares something painful, resist that urge to jump in with an answer. Take a breath. Let a small silence exist. And then say something like, "That sounds really hard." Or, "I can imagine how heavy that must feel." Do you see how different that energy feels? You're not fixing her. You're feeling with her. That's empathy. And empathy is the bridge that turns communication into connection. And here's the beautiful part. When someone feels heard, they often find their own answers. Your calm presence gives them the space to hear themselves more clearly. You become not just the listener, but the mirror through which they understand their own heart. Now, after a deep conversation, whether it's heavy or heartfelt, always close it with warmth. It's like gently putting a blanket over a finished moment. You could say something as simple as, "Thank you for trusting me with that." Or, "I really appreciate you sharing this with me." That line matters more than you think, because it tells her your vulnerability wasn't a burden, it was an honor. And that single sentence can turn an ordinary conversation into a moment she remembers for years. Because what we all crave, men, women, everyone, is not someone who always knows what to say, but someone who knows how to listen with heart. So, if you want to deepen your relationship, if you want her to truly open up to you, practice this one thing every day: presence. When she talks, be all there. Not half there, not multitasking, all in. Put your phone down. Turn your body toward her. Listen not to reply, but to understand. Because sometimes you don't need to say much at all. You just need to make her feel that her words landed somewhere safe. And when you do that, when you give someone the rare gift of your full attention, you become the person she can finally exhale around. That's not just attraction, that's trust. So next time, before you speak, take a breath. Let your silence listen first. Then let your words come out slow, sincere, grounded, and end with something that touches the heart. Thank you for trusting me enough to share that. That's how emotional intimacy begins, not with perfect lines or clever talk, but with the quiet power of someone who listens with his eyes, his body, and his heart.
You know, not everything she feels will come out in words. Sometimes the real story is in the silence, in the way she sits, the way she breathes, even in the small shifts she makes when you're speaking to her. Most men listen with their ears, But the ones who truly understand women, they listen with their eyes. Because here's the truth. Women often show their emotions before they ever say them. And if you can learn to read those unspoken signals with calm awareness, you'll start to connect with her on a level that feels effortless. Let's start with the moments when she's defensive. The times when something inside her tightens up, even if her words sound fine. You might notice her crossing her arms, her shoulders tensing, or her voice speeding up a little too quickly. She might avoid eye contact or start shifting in her seat. Most men miss these cues, or worse, they push harder. They ask more questions, talk faster, try to fix the mood. But what she really needs in that moment isn't pressure, it's safety. So when you sense that defensiveness, slow down, lower your tone, soften your body language. And instead of asking more about what happened, ask about how she feels. You can say something like, "I get the sense that something about this topic feels uncomfortable. You don't have to explain it all. I just want you to know I notice." That one sentence, calm, gentle, without expectation, can melt more walls than an hour of talking. Because you're showing her something rare, emotional awareness without control. Now, on the other side of that, you'll also notice when she's starting to trust you. Her body starts to open. The tension in her shoulders eases. She might lean in just a little. Her smile becomes slower, softer, not polite, but genuine. Her breathing becomes deeper. Those are signs that she feels safe in your presence. And the best thing you can do at that moment is simple. Don't break the rhythm. Keep your energy warm and steady. Match her pace. You don't need to suddenly shift the tone or make a joke. Just stay with her. When a woman starts to trust you, it's like a flower opening under sunlight. Too much heat, and it closes again. But steady warmth, that's what keeps it blooming. Now, here's something most people never notice: her breathing. It's one of the clearest signs of her emotional state. When her breathing becomes shallow, quick, or uneven, it's usually a sign that she's anxious or uncomfortable. And when that happens, the best thing you can do is pause. Don't fill the space with more words. Just slow your own breath down. Let the calm in your body remind hers that she's safe. Then gently shift the topic to something lighter, something that helps her settle back into comfort. You might say, "Hey, let's take a breath for a second. I didn't mean to go too deep all at once." That little moment of awareness shows her that you're tuned in, not just hearing, but feeling the room. The more you practice this kind of emotional reading, the more natural it becomes. You'll start noticing patterns, like how she gestures when she's relaxed, how her eyes move when she's thinking, how her tone changes when she's truly being herself. And you'll realize something beautiful. Communication isn't about talking more. It's about feeling more. Because when you can sense her emotions before she even speaks, you stop reacting and you start understanding. That's the moment when your presence becomes powerful. Not loud, not controlling, but steady. And this doesn't just apply to women, by the way. It's the same for everyone you care about. Your kids, your friends, your family. The ability to read energy calmly is what builds trust in every relationship. Now here's a little reflection you can try tonight. Next time you're in a conversation,
Don't just listen to the words. Watch her body language. Ask yourself quietly, what is she feeling right now? Beyond the words. Is her body relaxed or guarded? Does she need me to listen, or does she need space? That kind of awareness turns you from just a good communicator into someone deeply grounded, someone others feel safe around. And safety is everything. It's what allows honesty to grow. It's what transforms conversation into connection. So remember, next time she crosses her arms, lowers her gaze, or rushes her words, don't take it personally. It's not rejection, it's protection. And you can respond not by pushing, but by softening your energy and letting her know, you don't need to rush. I'm here. Then watch how her shoulders drop, how her breathing slows, how her voice finds its natural rhythm again. That's when you know she's starting to trust you, not because of what you said, but because of what your presence made her feel. And that, my friend, is the language beneath all language, the kind that doesn't need words to be understood.
You know, a lot of men think that if they just ask the right questions, a woman will automatically open up. But here's the truth. Trust doesn't grow in one direction. It's not something you pull from someone. It's something you build together. If you're always the one asking and she's always the one sharing, it can start to feel one-sided. She might think, he wants to know me, but does he actually want me to know him? And that's when the wall appears. Quiet, invisible, but real. You can feel it too. The energy shifts. She starts giving shorter answers. She looks away a little more often. And suddenly, the conversation that once flowed easily starts to dry up. Why? Because she doesn't feel mutual trust. And without that balance, even your most thoughtful questions can start to feel like an interview. So here's what most people forget. Trust is a mirror. If you want her to feel safe showing herself, she needs to see you doing the same. Not by oversharing, not by spilling every detail of your life, but by revealing small, honest pieces of who you are, enough to show that you're human too. This is what I call the mirror trust principle. It's simple. When you lead with genuine vulnerability, she reflects it back. You open the door just a little, and she walks through it because she knows it's safe there. Let me give you an example. Let's say she's talking about a tough moment from her past, maybe a time she felt lost or unsure of herself. Instead of immediately turning the spotlight back on her with another question, you might share a short story from your own life. Something like, I can relate to that. I went through a similar phase a few years ago. There was a time I felt completely out of direction. It took me a while to admit that to myself, but once I did, things started to change. You don't have to turn it into a long speech. You're not taking the stage. You're simply letting her see that you understand from experience, not from theory. Because here's the secret. Selective vulnerability builds connection faster than forced openness. You don't need to share everything. In fact, dumping all your personal stories can actually do the opposite. It makes the moment about you instead of between you. What matters is the intention behind what you share. When you speak from a place of calm honesty, not ego, not performance, it tells her, you're safe to be real with me because I'm being real with you. And you can see the shift immediately. Her shoulders relax, her tone softens, her stories go a little deeper because now she knows she's not alone in this space. That's the beauty of mutual trust. It creates emotional equality. You're no longer the questioner and the respondent. You're two people standing on the same ground, sharing human truth. Let's be clear though, mutual trust doesn't mean emotional dumping. You don't need to reveal every wound, every regret, every secret from your past. That's not vulnerability, that's unloading. Real strength is knowing how much to share and when. So here's how you can practice selective sharing. Keep it short and sincere. One honest story beats 10 dramatic ones. Stay relevant. Share something that connects to what she's expressing, not random facts about your life. Focus on growth, not pain. For example, "Yeah, I've been there too. It was tough, but it taught me a lot about slowing down." That shows wisdom, not self-pity. And with empathy. After you share, gently bring it back to her. It's interesting how those moments shape us, right? How did you find your way through that? You see what that does? You've given her a small piece of your truth, and now you've invited hers back into the space. That's two-way vulnerability. That's the rhythm of trust. And you know what's beautiful? You don't have to force it. When you stop trying to get her to open up and instead start meeting her halfway, everything flows naturally. Because trust, in its purest form, is never demanded, it's mirrored. So next time you're in a conversation that feels a little one-sided, pause for a second. Ask yourself, does she feel like I'm with her or studying her? Then share something small, human, and real. Something that lets her know you've been through your own storms too. That's what makes people lean in. That's what makes connection feel safe. Because at the end of the day, we all open up more easily when we realize we're not alone. So don't be afraid to show a few cracks in your armor, not to gain sympathy, but to show sincerity. Because when your truth meets hers, that's where trust stops being theory and starts becoming love.
You know, one of the hardest lessons I've learned, and it took me years to really get it, is that you can't rush someone into opening up, especially when it comes to the heart. Every person carries their own rhythm. Some open like sunlight through a window, slowly, gently, when they feel safe. Others take longer. They've been hurt. They've learned to protect themselves. And if you try to force that window open too soon, it doesn't just stay shut, it locks tighter. That's why patience isn't just a virtue in love, it's a language of safety. You see, when a woman says, "I'm not ready to talk about that yet," most men hear rejection. But what she's really saying is, "I need to feel safe first." And your response in that moment determines everything that comes next. You can either make her retreat further, or you can show her that she's free to move at her own pace. So instead of asking again or trying to get more details, just take a breath. Look at her gently and say, "I understand. Whenever you're ready, I'm here." That one sentence, spoken calmly and sincerely, can do more than an hour of persuasion, because it tells her, "Your comfort matters more than my curiosity." And that's what real patience sounds like. The truth is, emotional timing isn't something you can control. You can't schedule trust. You can't demand vulnerability on your timeline. What you can do is hold space, a quiet, steady space where she feels safe to step forward when she's ready. And here's the paradox most people don't see. When you stop trying to open up, she opens faster. Because pressure dissolves safety, but patience builds it. Think of it like planting a seed. You can water it, give it sunlight, care for it, but you can't shout at it to grow. If you keep digging up the soil to check its progress, you only slow it down. Emotional connection works the same way. The more you trust the process, the more naturally it unfolds. Now here's something subtle but powerful. Silence. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They rush to fill it. They talk, they explain, they distract. But sometimes silence is the doorway to truth. When she's quiet, it doesn't always mean she's pulling away. It might mean she's gathering courage. It might mean the words are forming slowly, carefully. And if you jump in too quickly, you interrupt that moment of courage before it's born. So instead of trying to fill every pause, try something different. Just be there. Let the quiet stretch a little longer than feels natural. Breathe, and let her feel that she doesn't need to rush either. You'd be surprised how many beautiful conversations begin after 30 seconds of silence that most people couldn't handle. Now, let's talk about the instinct to fix. When someone you care about is hurting, it's natural to want to help, to solve the problem, to make it better. But sometimes, fixing is the enemy of understanding. If she tells you she's tired, overwhelmed, or heartbroken, you don't have to give advice right away. You don't need to offer solutions or strategies. Start with empathy. Say, "That sounds really hard. I can tell it's been weighing on you. I'm here with you." Simple words, but they carry weight because they tell her you don't have to be alone in this. And that's often what she needs most of all. Not your solution, but your steady presence. You see, patience isn't passive, it's active stillness. It's strength under control. It's being able to sit in someone else's storm without trying to stop the rain. When you master that, you become the calm in her chaos, the place where her guard finally lowers. So the next time she pulls away a little or says she's not ready to talk, don't panic, don't analyze, don't chase. Just soften, give her space, and quietly remind her, "I'm not going anywhere." Because that's what true patience looks like. Not waiting anxiously for her to open up, but trusting that when she does, you'll still be there, calm, grounded, ready to listen. And maybe that's the real secret to connection. Not knowing when she'll open up, but creating a space so peaceful that one day she simply does. So take a breath, slow down, trust the timing, and remember, the most powerful thing you can say to someone who isn't ready yet isn't a clever line or an emotional speech. It's simply this: take your time. I'm here. Because love, in its truest form, is never in a hurry.
You know, we often talk about trust as if it's this big dramatic thing, something you earn through grand gestures or powerful promises. But the truth is, trust isn't built in those loud moments. It's built in the quiet ones, in the everyday details that most people overlook. Real trust isn't declared, it's felt. It's not what you say, it's what you do. Think about it. Anyone can say, "You can trust me," but it means nothing until you prove it.
in small, consistent ways. If you tell her you're going to call, then call. If you promise to meet her at 7, show up at 7. If you say you'll handle something, follow through, even when it's inconvenient. Because every time your words and your actions match, you're building a foundation that whispers, "I mean what I say." And that consistency, that reliability, is what makes a woman exhale around you. It's what makes her relax, because she doesn't have to wonder if you'll show up. She already knows you will. Most people underestimate how powerful that is. They think love is about intensity, about sparks and grand moments. But what keeps relationships alive isn't intensity, it's consistency. It's the small, quiet ways you show up every day. The way you remember what she said last week. The way you keep her secrets safe. The way you stay grounded even when she's emotional. That's what builds trust, not words, not charm, not big promises, just steady presence. You see, when a woman shares something personal with you, she's handing you a piece of herself, something delicate, something private. How you handle that moment determines whether she'll share again. If you treat her story like gossip, tell your friends, or even joke about it later, you break the invisible bridge between you. It doesn't matter if you didn't mean harm, the damage is done, because she no longer feels safe being real with you. But if you guard that story, if you keep it private, even when no one's watching, even when it's tempting to bring it up, you're saying without words, your heart is safe here. And that, my friend, is priceless. Now, let's talk about something that matters even more than promises: authenticity. You can't fake stability. You can't perform honesty. People, especially women, can feel the difference. If you're pretending to be someone you're not just to be liked, she'll sense it. If you're saying what you think she wants to hear instead of what's true, she'll feel that disconnect. Because trust doesn't come from perfection, it comes from realness. When you're authentic, even your flaws feel safe. When you admit, "Yeah, I struggle with that sometimes," instead of pretending to have it all together, you create space for honesty. It's funny, the moment you stop trying to impress someone is often the moment they start trusting you. Because here's what's true: authenticity isn't about showing everything, it's about showing what's real. And when you live that way, calm, steady, transparent, you become predictable in the best possible sense. Not boring predictable, safe predictable. The kind of man who's not swayed by moods, who doesn't say one thing and do another, who means what he says every time. That's the kind of presence that builds lifelong trust. Not because you're perfect, but because you're reliable. Let me give you an image to hold on to. Think of trust like a bridge made of small planks. Each plank is one small action: keeping your word, being on time, staying calm, telling the truth. Each time you follow through, another plank is laid down. And slowly, plank by plank, she learns it's safe to walk across. Now, it takes time to build that bridge, but only one careless act to break it. So guard it well. Because when a woman finally trusts you, truly, deeply, she lets go in ways she never could before. Her laughter changes, her body language softens, her love becomes effortless. Not because you convinced her, but because you proved her heart was safe. And the beauty of this is you don't have to say anything special to earn that trust. You just have to keep showing up, steady, grounded, honest, every single day. That's how you build the kind of connection that lasts. Not through promises, not through perfect words, but through small acts of reliability that say, you never have to doubt where I stand. So if there's one thing you remember from this, let it be this. Trust isn't built on big moments. It's built on the little ones. The quiet consistency of someone who simply keeps showing up. When you do that long enough, you don't have to ask for trust. You become it.
You know, there's something I've learned over the years. Something that doesn't come from books or techniques. It comes from presence. No matter how good your words are, no matter how perfect your timing or intentions, what truly makes people open up isn't what you say, it's what they feel when they're around you. And the truth is this: nothing makes someone feel safer to open up than your calm, steady energy. Because calmness, real calmness, isn't silence, it's safety. It's the unspoken message that says, you don't have to perform here, you don't have to hide, you're safe. When your presence carries that kind of stillness, people soften around you. Their breathing slows, their tone lowers. They start speaking from a deeper place because your energy gives them permission to be real. You don't need to do anything grand. You just need to be still enough for truth to land. It begins with something simple: your breath. When your breathing is steady, slow, grounded, unhurried, it signals that you're in control, that you're present. And presence, more than anything else, is what makes people feel safe. That's why a calm voice matters so much. You don't have to sound powerful or charming. You just need to sound settled. Speak slower. Let warmth fill your tone. Let your words carry patience instead of pressure. Because when your voice slows down, the room slows down with it. That's how you create the energy of peace, not by demanding attention, but by embodying quiet confidence. Now let's talk about your eyes. Your gaze can either be a spotlight or a sanctuary. If your eyes are judging, analyzing, or waiting for a reaction, the other person feels it instantly. They'll close up, even if your words sound gentle. But when your eyes are relaxed, when they say, "I'm here and I'm not evaluating you," it changes everything. She'll feel that difference. She'll feel seen, not examined, accepted, not assessed. That's the quiet power of non-judgmental presence. And when she's in that energy, something inside her exhales. Her body lets go of the tension she didn't even know she was holding. Her stories start flowing naturally because she's no longer afraid of being misunderstood. That's what it means to be a safe harbor. It's not about fixing, controlling, or even leading all the time. It's about becoming the place where another person can simply rest. When she's upset, your calm becomes the ground beneath her. When she's nervous, your steady breathing becomes her rhythm. When she's unsure, your patience becomes her reassurance. You don't have to tell her everything will be okay. She feels that it will be, because you're calm enough to hold the moment without fear. You see, being emotionally steady doesn't mean you never feel. It means your emotions don't control the room. It means you know how to stay centered, like the eye of the storm, quiet, even when everything else is spinning. And here's the beautiful irony. The calmer you are, the more powerful you become. Because calmness isn't weakness, it's mastery. It shows emotional intelligence, maturity, and depth. It says, I don't need to react to everything. I choose what deserves my energy. That's the kind of energy people crave, especially in a world that's loud, reactive, and always rushing. When a woman finds that kind of peace in you, she won't just enjoy your company, she'll trust it. She'll come to you not just when she's happy, but when she's overwhelmed, because she knows your energy won't add chaos, it'll bring calm. And that's the secret to being magnetic without even trying. You become the place where people feel safe to be human. So, how do you practice that kind of stillness? Start with yourself. When you feel anxious, breathe slower. When you feel irritated, speak softer. When the world speeds up, you slow down. Your calm is not just for others, it's for you. Because when your inner world is steady, your outer world follows. And that's when you start noticing something powerful. The people around you begin to change too. They argue less. They open more. They feel at ease. Not because of what you said, but because of the energy you carried into the room. So remember this. You don't have to force connection. You don't have to chase understanding. You just have to be still enough for truth to appear. When she's around you and feels, here I'm not being judged, here I'm simply accepted, that's when she'll open up. Not just her voice, but her heart. Because true attraction, true intimacy, true love, they all begin in the same place. The calm energy of someone who's not trying to be anything, just fully present. So breathe, slow down, and remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is said through silence. Not through words, but through the peace that your presence brings.
So, let's bring it all together. If you want her to truly open up, remember these 8 things. Create a safe space where she feels accepted, not judged. Ask open-ended questions that invite her to share her world. Listen actively with your eyes, your body, and your heart. Learn to read her body language because not everything is spoken aloud. Practice mutual trust through selective, honest sharing. Be patient. Respect her rhythm, not your timeline. Build trust through small, consistent actions every day. And above all, carry a steady, calm energy. Become her safe harbor. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need all the answers. You just need to be present, respectful, and steady. Because when you are, she'll feel it, and she'll start sharing everything she once kept hidden. If this video spoke to you, give it a like so YouTube knows this message matters. Subscribe if you want more insights on connection, trust, and emotional mastery. And if you have your own story or reflection, drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. Thank you for being here. Stay calm, stay grounded, and keep showing up with heart.